How do the adrenal cortex and medulla develop differently embryologically? Imagine two parts of the same gland that come from completely different places in the early stages of life. That's what makes the adrenal gland so fascinating. It has an outer layer called the cortex and an inner core called the medulla. But how do these two parts form during development? Let's find out. The adrenal cortex starts its journey from the mesoderm, which is one of the three primary layers of early embryonic tissue. Specifically, it develops from a thickening of the coelomic epithelium, which is a type of lining tissue in the body. This thickening happens between the 4th and 6th week of human development. Cells from this area cluster together to form the adrenogonadal primordium, or AGP for short. This cluster of cells is the starting point for both the adrenal cortex and the gonads, which are the reproductive organs. These cells destined to become the cortex migrate toward the middle of the developing body and multiply rapidly. They gather near the cranial, or head, end of the mesonephros, which is an early kidney structure. These cells express a special gene called steroidogenic factor 1, which helps them produce steroid hormones like cortisol and aldosterone. At first, a fetal adrenal cortex forms, which produces hormones needed during early development. Later, this fetal cortex is replaced by the adult cortex, which develops into three zones: the zona glomerulosa, the zona fasciculata, and the zona reticularis. These zones are responsible for different hormone productions and become fully formed by birth. Now let's look at the adrenal medulla. Unlike the cortex, it comes from a different embryonic origin called the neural crest. The neural crest is a group of cells that arise from the ectoderm, which is the outermost layer of the embryo. These cells migrate from the neural tube, which is the early form of the nervous system, toward the developing adrenal gland area. Once they arrive, they differentiate into specialized cells called chromaffin cells. These cells are responsible for making catecholamines, which include adrenaline and noradrenaline. These hormones are crucial for the body's fight or flight response. So, in simple terms, the adrenal cortex develops from mesodermal tissue that forms the outer layer of the gland, while the medulla develops from neural crest cells that become the inner core. This difference in origin explains why the cortex mainly produces steroid hormones and the medulla produces catecholamines. Understanding this embryological difference helps us see how the adrenal gland functions as a whole and why problems in development can lead to specific disorders affecting either the cortex or the medulla.